Hello, my name is Valerie. Welcome to the village of Cooperstown. If you are a baseball lover, you are probably missing baseball on TV. So we wanted to find a way to take you on a brief tour of Cooperstown, which is the home of baseball. So I figured I'd put a slideshow together from trips that my husband and I have taken up to Cooperstown. We've been going there for the last 20 years, or at least once a year. And we enjoy it so much we wanted to share it with others. So here's the sign that you'll see. It says the village of Cooperstown as you enter if you're traveling on Route 80, which would be traveling along Lake Otsego. On this road you will also see the Fenimore Art Museum and the Farmers Museum, which gives a bit of history about our country and is actually a working farm. If you are at this sign, you are about a mile away from the National Baseball Hall of Fame Museum. We hope you enjoyed this brief slideshow and that if you've been to Cooperstown, you'll recognize some of the photos. And if you've never been there, it will inspire you to take a visit in the future. Enjoy. Here is a photo of Lake Otsego. It's about 9 miles long and about 1.5 miles at its widest point. There's always a lot of activity on the lake year-round. The summer picture shows a lot of boating and people on any one of the 3 beaches. There is Ferry Springs Park, 3 Mile Point, and then the State Beach at Glimmerglass State Park. Also at the park you'll find Hyde Hall, which is a historic mansion that gives tours year-round and goes through the old mansion and even gives a haunted tour around Halloween time. There are a lot of bed and breakfasts along the lake and a lot of great restaurants. It's a long ride to Cooperstown, especially from Long Island. So you'll probably be pretty hungry when you get there, especially if you haven't stopped along the way. One of our favorite places to eat is the Cooperstown Diner. Here's a photo of it decorated at Christmas time. We love to eat here. The food's great, everybody's friendly and helpful, and we just enjoy it. However, make sure that if you go to the Cooperstown Diner, you will be ready to wait. There are only 25 seats in the diner. There are 4 tables with 4 chairs each and 9 chairs at the counter. There's also 1 high chair. So expect to wait outside in order to get a table, especially if you're there in the summertime. But even in the winter, a lot of times you'll see people huddled up right outside the front door here waiting for a table. Often in the rain, bunches of people just waiting under their umbrella, waiting to get a table. Because they know the food's great, and they know it's a fun place to be. So, if you're up there, and you go to the diner, make sure you get the pot roast. After you've had a bite to eat at the diner, just take a walk down Main Street over to the National Baseball Hall of Fame Museum. We're beginning with this photo of the scoreboard that's just outside the front door. It's a great little area that they set up with benches when the weather's nice, and people just gather around to see the updated scores for each day. During the regular and postseason, this scoreboard is updated every day. Here we have a photo of it during one of the World Series. Here's a photo of the National Baseball Hall of Fame Museum. The hall is 3 floors of all things baseball. There are exhibits, they have different activities that go on, they do interviews with writers and baseball players and anyone who has anything to do with baseball. This photo was taken during the holidays, and so it's decorated for Christmas with wreaths and garland, and the inside has a Christmas tree, and it looks very pretty at the holidays. The hall was opened in 1939, and when we go inside, we'll see the different parts of the hall and the museum. One of the first places you will visit when you go into the Hall of Fame is the Hall of Plaques. That is where they hang all of the plaques for all of the people who have been inducted into the Hall of Fame. So, as I mentioned, the Hall of Fame opened in 1939, but the first 5 inductees were actually inducted in 1936. They were Babe Ruth, Hannes Wagner, Walter Johnson, Christy Mathewson, and Ty Cobb. And here are the plaques for each of those players. You'll see underneath a couple of the plaques that there is a symbol on the wall. That denotes that that individual has served in the military, and you will see that throughout the hall. As I mentioned, each person inducted into the Hall of Fame gets a plaque that is mounted on the wall. And you see here, these are the marble slabs that the plaques are mounted to. What they've done over the last few years is they invite the players to come in and sign their name so that will live behind the plaque forever. And it just adds a little more interest when people are taking tours and when they talk about the hall and they talk about the different inductees. So that's a fun thing that they started doing just recently, and people like to go and take pictures of that so that they have the history behind the plaque. Whenever a Hall of Fame member passes away, they set up a memorial with a little history of that person and flowers, just to memorialize them. This particular display is for Jim Bunning, who was a player on the Phillies, and we just happened to be up in Cooperstown when he had passed away. Of note, he was also a United States Senator after he finished playing baseball. As I mentioned, you have the Hall of Plaques, and the rest of the building is the museum. There are many exhibits throughout the museum, but this is probably one of my favorites over all the years I've been going there. All of these figures are made out of paper mache and represent real fans, or fanatics as they were called, in different baseball parks across the country. On the top of the fence, in front of the figures, there are a bunch of plaques that give a little history of each of the fans. Throughout the hall, you will see exhibits similar to this one, which highlights memorabilia from the 2016 World Series win for the Chicago Cubs. Up to this point, they had not won a World Series in 108 years. By the way, that is the same number of stitches in a Major League Baseball. I mentioned that a lot of events take place at the Hall of Fame and Museum. They do a lot of interviews with people who either played baseball or have written about baseball or are baseball broadcasters. Here they're interviewing Cal Ripken Jr. and Phil Niekro. The interview is taking place in the Grandstand Theater. It's a large theater that holds about 200 people. For many years, it was set up with seats like you would find in a baseball park. But more recently, they renovated it and put in nice cushy seats like you would find in a movie theater. I like the way it looked before, but it's much more comfortable now. There's a large video screen on the wall behind the gentleman. That's because they show a lot of movies in this theater, things related to baseball. They also show a daily movie that they play every 15 minutes that gives a history of baseball. And then during the week of the World Series every year, they show the Saturday night game up on the screen. And they hold a big event. You can buy tickets to go. And they give hot dogs and drinks and pretzels and potato chips and popcorn and all kinds of yummies. And you watch the Saturday night game. And they play trivia games. And you can win prizes. They do a great job. I mentioned that a lot of events take place at the hall. One of the things that goes on quite often are book signings. Different authors will be interviewed by a staff member of the hall, and then they will come out, autograph their book, and take photos with fans. This particular signing took place at the annual baseball conference that takes place at the hall. It's the Baseball Symposium. Another fun thing that goes on is they play a game of town ball. If you look just beyond these two gentlemen back behind the window, that is a field that's out behind the hall. And every year when they play their game of town ball, everyone can participate, and it takes place right back there. Often there are people who do different skits related to baseball. This is a gentleman who worked for the hall for 20 years. At this point, he works in another job, but he comes back every year at the annual conference, and he does Casey at the Bat. He recites the famous baseball poem and gets the audience involved with the whole event. He does a great job, and the fans love it, and we really look forward to seeing that. If you love baseball, you probably will recognize the Abbott and Costello Who's on First routine. These gentlemen are reenacting that routine during the annual conference. Another fun thing that goes on at the conference is they serve dinner in the Hall of Plaques. 250 people talking baseball over dinner. What great fun. And while these events are going on during the conference, they also take place throughout the year. You will see all different kinds of people doing anything baseball related at the hall anytime you visit. Of course, one of the main events that goes on from the National Hall of Fame Museum is the annual induction into the Hall of Fame. The village of Cooperstown, which normally has approximately 1,800 residents, is transformed into a town that now holds 50,000 to 70,000 people, depending on who is being inducted that year. Here you see a photo of Main Street. They close off Main Street from the village traffic light, which is the only traffic light in the village, down to the Hall of Fame, which is probably around 3 blocks long. If you see the flagpole right there, that is kind of the center of the village, which is a cross street between Pioneer Street and Main Street. When they close off the street, people just gather around. All the different vendors have tables outside. They sell memorabilia. You can buy lots of great food, and it's just fun for 3 days. Another fun thing that they do during induction weekend is a parade. The parade is held on the Saturday night before induction. Each of the players is driven on a shiny pickup truck slowly down Main Street, so they can wave to all the fans, and their fans can get photos and wave back and yell out. It's a very closed environment, so you really get a good view of the players. Sometimes they'll bring their families with them on the pickup truck. Sometimes some of the players will ride inside, but most of the players are outside, waving to their fans, engaging with everyone. And as you can see, they cordon off the sides of the street during the parade, and there are thousands of people lining Main Street for this event. The day after induction, they do interviews with everyone who has been inducted that year. Often it is a staff member from the Hall of Fame and someone from the MLB network who do the interviews. They set up this platform on the infield of Doubleday Field, which is the baseball park that's right in the village of Cooperstown. Another fun thing that goes on throughout induction weekend are player autograph events. Many of the players will work with the local businesses, set up tables, and sign memorabilia for fans. Of course, there's a charge for this. They don't do it for free, but they sign their autograph, they take photos with fans. One of the largest events takes place at a bed and breakfast in the village called the Tunnicliff. Over the 4 days, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and into Monday, they have thousands and thousands of people lining the street just waiting to get autographs from the different players. As I mentioned, Cooperstown is fun any time of year. One of the events that we enjoyed was Cooptoberfest. It was a family event during the day and then beer tasting at night. During the day, they'd have bouncy houses and face painting and all kinds of great food. And even the Oscar Mayer hot dog truck was there one year. We enjoyed that. You can find different fun events in Cooperstown throughout the year, just like at Cooptoberfest. The other fun thing to know is there are a lot of things that go on just every day. There's a great farmer's market just off Main Street. There is an art gallery in the town hall. The town hall also houses their public library and their village offices, but the art gallery has different types of sculptures and paintings and artwork and jewelry from artists throughout the region. And it's really a fun place to visit, and you can buy some pretty nice things. As I mentioned earlier, you also have Vanamore Art Museum, the Farmers Museum, there is the Smithy, and there are some great fun things to do with families just outside of Cooperstown in Fly Creek and in other local villages close by. Another fun thing to do right on Main Street is visit the Wax Museum. They have a lot of great exhibits featuring different eras in baseball. Here they have an exhibit featuring Judge Landis and Shoeless Joe Jackson from the 1919 Black Sox scandal. They have a lot of memorabilia and a lot of fun things to look at, and of course a store where you can buy things. Earlier I mentioned Lake Otsego. Here's another view of the lake. If it's nice weather, you can take a ride on the Glimmerglass Queen. You see it here coming back into the dock. The ride lasts about an hour, and they give a brief history of the lake and some little mythical stories about the area. There's a lot to do around the lake. There are many areas where they have benches set up so you can just sit and enjoy the peacefulness. There are a lot of great restaurants, as I mentioned earlier. A lot of great fishing that goes on around the lake. And in the winter time, they even go ice fishing. Not something I would do, but if you are more adventurous, plenty of people are doing it. Another great place to enjoy the beauty of the lake is from near Hotel Otesaga. This is the luxury hotel in the area. You can walk the grounds. They have benches set up along the lake. This is the back of the hotel, and you can go and sit up on the veranda, look out. They have a couple of restaurants in there, and it's just a beautiful, peaceful site where you can enjoy people sitting, feeding ducks, looking out at the lake, enjoying their lunch or dinner or breakfast. They also have a great golf course, I hear. I've never been on it, but people seem to enjoy it very much. As we finish up the tour of Cooperstown, I just wanted to show you a photo of the courthouse on Main Street. This is a photo taken in the fall. I have another one in the winter time to show you. But I wanted to show you the beautiful architecture. If you take a walk around the village, so many of the buildings are historic. The homes, the shops, the different public buildings. And it's just a beautiful and peaceful place to walk around. So I hope you enjoy this trip to Cooperstown, and we'll close out with a nice shot of the courthouse in winter. And here you go, winter in Cooperstown, New York. We enjoy it. I hope that you'll get a chance to go there, walk around, eat some of the great food. It probably all sounds like a commercial for Cooperstown, but we just wanted to bring you something that would remind you of baseball at this time where we're not seeing it on TV, and we are missing it, and we are sure that you are missing it too. So, hope you get to Cooperstown one day, or if you've been there before, I hope you get to go back. Enjoy.